Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum-ba-dum. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum-ba-dum-bum-ba-dum. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum. Oh, hey, it appears to be working, except, wow, is that loud in my headphones? Let me back off some of my signal a little bit because I don't need to be that present. Oh, my goodness, in my own ears. It's always good to be nice and loud, but maybe not that loud, Evo. Hey, let's switch this up a minute. Hi. Turn the glasses off. Take the glasses off because they were glaring. I can see it already. Good morning. Hi, welcome. Evo Terra with you for another live taping of Podcast Pontifications. So great you could join me this morning. I certainly do appreciate it. I hope you're having a lovely time in whatever it is that you were doing this fine Monday morning. Here on the program today, we're going to talk about blaming your podcast's audience for your slow growth problems. Sorta. Sorta. That's the general idea of what it is I shall be talking about. But you know me, I don't do anything on a normal level. So yeah, there's that. If you are brand new to Podcast Pontifications, welcome. This is the live taping of Podcast Pontifications. So you get some. If you get a bit of the things that nobody else gets, because this part right here is not part of the podcast. This is part of me warming up to do the podcast, if you will. And I am prepping, and I can say hello to Arlen Ambler, who is watching me once again this morning. Good morning, kind sir. Thanks for being here once again. So yeah, this is all just pre-show, me warming up. The actual podcast content itself that the regular, normal humans of the public will hear will not begin for at least another 2 or 3 minutes. So this is just me getting warmed up. Although I'm pretty warm today. Let me back up. If you want to skip all this stuff, podcastpontifications.com is where you can get the finalized content, which will be published in just a little over 3 hours from now. The audio file, the article, the transcript, the whole shebang will be available at Podcast Pontifications in about 3 hours. The reason I'm a little more warmed up today is I've been up since 4:30. Not that unusual for me to wake up around 4:30. But I had to do that to put my son and his family on an airplane to go back to the middle of America to visit family. So I was up at 4:30 so that I could leave here around 5. So I can get to their place by 5:30, drive their giant van full of the horde that they have there to the airport, and then back home. Because who wants to park, their car at the airport for 5 or 6 days when you don't have to and pay those fees? No need. So I'm a very helpful father and grandfather. So that means I've been talking to kids and talking to my kid all day, so I'm fairly warm. The pipes are pretty smooth, which is kind of nice. Well, I will probably still have phlegmy issues because that's just part of me being me. Some housekeeping things. Yesterday was Pod Rev Day. I hope that you reviewed some podcasts. I try to do that. I'm trying to do that more and more. The 8th day of the month is always Pod Rev Day. So if you missed it, well, you can always make up for that and do it now. You can go ahead and review some shows. That's nice to review some shows if you would like to. But remember, the Pod Rev Day next year. My goal with this month, and I failed this month, is to promote that more. And I didn't do a good job. I did it once at the very beginning of the month, but I didn't do it again. And I had told Stephanie that I would, so sorry, Steph, but I took off you might remember that last week I only did 2 episodes last week because I forgot that I was attending Podcast Movement virtually and didn't really have the time, so yeah. Anyhow, my plan was to do it, but I didn't, so I will try my best to be to be a little better prepared this next month when Pod Rev Day comes again. Anyhow, all right, I think enough of the rambling to me. Let's go to blaming your podcast audience for slow growth. As you know, I begin by reading the cold open. The cold open is, sustaining podcast growth week after week is really hard. And while there are plenty of consultants, plans, or methods that promise to fix it for you, the root cause may be something frustratingly simple. Yep, that's what I'm going to say. All right, let's get my recording things around here. Where's QuickTime? Come here, QuickTime. Come here. There you are. There's QuickTime. There's the other one. Here we go. Sustaining podcast growth week after week is really hard. And while there are plenty of consultants and plans and methods out there that promise to fix it for you, the root cause may be something frustratingly simple. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Why isn't my show growing? We hear quite a lot. Which translates to, why has my show's audience growth hit a plateau? And can I fix it with some marketing? Well, maybe you can. Maybe some marketing would help you. Who knows? Maybe more social media posts would be just the thing to give you another bump in your listenership. Or maybe just doing a better job of posting content on social media might bring audiences, an additional audience to your show. Maybe what you need is a big name guest. That's the secret. Or maybe you need a provocative topic, something that will attract more people to your show. Or maybe you think I need to be a guest on more podcasts. Podcast listeners listen to other podcasts. Why not? That makes sense to me. Oh, maybe I'll buy some advertising. That's the thing. But I'm not going to waste any money. I'm smarter than that. I'm going to buy ads only on podcast apps, or maybe I'll buy ads on other podcasts with audiences similar to mine. And you know what? I hear now that Spotify now lets podcasters spend relatively small amounts of money to advertise all over their app. Well, maybe that'll work for me. Well, you know what? Maybe some of those tactics are going to work for you. Heck, maybe all of them are going to work for you. But then again, they might not. And chances are, unfortunately, none of them are going to work for you. Either not at all, or maybe not as much as you had hoped for. Because if it were easy to keep growing your audience month after month, wouldn't you already be doing it? Really, if it was as simple as following a recipe, wouldn't every show keep seeing growth? But you and I know they don't. Just like yours might not. And heck, as mine doesn't grow month over month. So what's really happening when a show has hit that plateau? Have you really reached peak audience with your 100 listeners that you have, or your 1,000 listeners that you have, or maybe even your 100,000 listeners? Have you reached everyone you can? It's possible, depending on how niche your show is. And you know me, I'm a fan of going super niche on shows. But chances are, there's a simple and rather singular reason that that your show has stopped growing, and the secret's there in the people. It's because people have stopped recommending your show to other people. That's it. That's the reason, right? If people were continuing to recommend your show to other people they encounter, your show would continue to grow. We know that word of mouth is how discovery happens, and not just in podcasting, but just about every other form of media. And yes, of course, there are big, glitzy, and terribly expensive media campaigns, which help launch television shows, music, new movies, and of course, new podcasts. But we're not talking about launch. We're talking about sustained growth for an extant show. And if it's not growing, that means that your audience is no longer recommending your show to other people. So the question becomes, why aren't they recommending your show any longer? And I will agree with you, or concede the fact that that's a bigger question. It's something you're going to have to pontificate on your own for a while, especially if there is something in the way. There's something happening that's not resonating enough with your audience. That's maybe on you to sit and think about that. Now, Tom Webster had an amazing presentation at Podcast Movement 21 last week. It's not yet up. The final version has not yet been made available, but I watched it, Loved it. And he gave 3 ways to increase what is known as what he calls the recommendability. I love that word. Of your podcast. I'm going to state them briefly here, and then I'm going to go through each one of them in detail for the rest of this week. So you know what you're getting yourself in for the remainder of this week on Podcast Pontifications. Now, in brief, here they are. Number 1, know what your listeners expect, and then how to deliver the unexpected. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Number 2, make your show easy to recommend. There are likely things you are doing that are getting in the way of that. I'll talk about that on Wednesday. And then number 3, master your craft. That will be the topic of Thursday's episode. I will dig into each of these, starting with the knowing what your listeners expect tomorrow. In the meantime, I have a weird request. It's a little strange for me. I'm researching sexy and sex-positive podcasts for a new project, and I'd love to add into my consideration set, my research set, any shows you might be passionate. See what I did there? Any shows you might be passionate about to my list. So if you listen to a sexy or a sex-positive podcast and you don't mind sharing the fact that you listen to those shows with me, please send an email to evo@simpler.media with the name of the show. Or you can DM me on Twitter. I'm at evoterra. And if you got any value out of today's show, talking about blaming your podcast audience for your slow growth, sort of. If you got value out of this conversation, please return some of that value by visiting buymeacoffee.com/evoterra and buying me a virtual coffee. Or 12. Sure, I'll take 12 coffees. That's fine. All right, that's it, everyone. Tomorrow I will get more into the topic of knowing what your listeners expect so you can then give them things that they don't expect. That's happening because I shall be back tomorrow with yet another podcast, Pontifications. Cheers. Stop recording there. Stop recording there. Back into the chat. Looks like the chat window is quiet. Just Arlen telling me good morning. So once again, good morning to you. If you are just now tuning into the live stream, well, you missed the primary content. You could back up 12 minutes and 42 seconds if you want to, but you're going to hear a lot of me rambling like I'm doing right now. Much better choice for you. Go to podcastpontifications.com, where at 10 o'clock in just over 2 hours and 45 minutes, I will have the fully edited audio available for you, an article rewritten so that if you prefer to read my words, you can do that, and a transcript if you want to know exactly what it was that I said. All of that will be available at podcastpontifications.com at 10 o'clock in the morning, Phoenix time. Now, if you are smart, you will add your email. You will click the button that says subscribe. You will put your email address in, and the system will automatically email you a link to the audio file and that fully rewritten article so that you have that, and you can just consume it as part of your busy day when you check your email, and you probably check your email too often like most of us. Yeah. Those are the options. So yeah, tomorrow, it's going to be another week of filling about one thing I'm talking about. So tomorrow, all about knowing what your listeners expect and how you can deliver the unexpected. That's the topic of the show tomorrow. So I hope to see you all back here. And if not, again, podcastpontifications.com is where you can get it. That's it. I'm out. See you next time. Bye. Oh, wait. I said bye, and here I was all clued up ready to do this button. Bye.